The spirit of North Allegheny is not something that is taught in the classroom. It is something that is instilled from going to school here. Participating in school activities, being involved in the community, it's what drives some of us to come back here so our kids can go to school here. Dave Gray embodies the spirit of North Allegheny. He just celebrated the 26th anniversary of the founding of his company, CDG Sports LLC. He creates jobs, he teaches lessons, commitment, hard work, professionalism in the class of 1988. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Gray.
Well, I guess I'm the headliner. Keep your heart on, Nicotero. The way this was supposed to go down was this. I was going to say, I know what you're all thinking. You were thinking, I didn't know James Franklin was going to talk tonight. And then I was going to say, no, it's me, Coach Dave. Maybe you'll recognize me now. So thank you, Alex. I appreciate the gesture. Are you cramped? Have you been sitting for a while? Can you do me a big favor? Can you stand up? Come on, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Table 18. I expect more from you. Let's go. All right. So this award is the Spirit of NA. Spirit of NA. Conjures up cheerleaders, megaphones, right? Pyramids. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a little cheer. And the only cheer I remember from NA goes like this. We are NA! We are NA! Now, we're going to do that together. We're going to put something on the line. If you're the loudest table, you're all going to win baseball cards. That's the CDG thing, right? Are we ready? All right, NA, I want to see your... All right, you can have a seat. I was so thrilled when Alice sent me the email saying that I was picked to receive the Spirit of NA award. I mean, this means more to me than any achievement, any accomplishment as far as awards and recognitions that I can ever put into words. This one hits me in the heart. And so I want to tell you what Spirit of NA means to me. So I'm going to tell you a little story. In 2004, I had the privilege and the opportunity to be invited to the Temple University basketball practice. They were in town playing the Duquesne Dukes. So I was invited to come down to the Palumbo Center. If that wasn't awesome enough, I was invited to sit on the bench with Hall of Fame coach John Chaney. I was beside myself. You basketball fans, Dave Gretsch, John Chaney. I mean, come on. The players are playing. John Chaney, he doesn't mince words. He's he'll tell it to you like it is. He sent his team for a break to get a water, let them cool down a little bit. And he looked over at me, and this isn't crazy, I still think to this day about this. He called me Coach Dave. Like, this is Hall of Famer coach John Chaney looks over to me, and he says, Coach Dave, if you want to be successful, if you want to get the most out of your players and have them perform for you, here's the secret. You got to make their eyes shine. You have to make someone's eyes shine. And so I think about what I do today, and I've had a lot of time to just sit back and think about the 26 years that I've worked with kids. I mean, there's Zach Shuckrow out there. I mean, I worked with him when he was 7, 8 years old. And to see him as a young man right now, it's I'm just grateful. But our job as educators and teachers and coaches and parents and guardians and mentors is to make someone's eyes shine. It's the greatest gift if we know how to harness it. And so I wanted to recognize some very, very important people that made my eyes shine. And those people were some of my teachers and coaches here at North Allegheny. And so I remember People's Elementary School, 5th grade. I had a wonderful teacher named Mrs. Homan. And Mrs. Homan knew at the time that I was taking remedial grammar classes. She knew English wasn't my skill set, but she honored me and recognized me. She knew I had a knack and a love for writing, and she chose me to represent Peebles and sent me to what they had. I don't know if they have it anymore. It's called Young Authors Day. And I represented Peebles Elementary School as the author picked by Mrs. Homan to represent us at Young Authors Day. I still have that certificate. It's I still have it. Another person I want to recognize is Coach Don Greenaway. 9th grade, it was Coach Greenaway's first year from California. Norris, you might be able to help me out. I think he came from Cal Poly Tech, and he was our 9th grade football coach. In 9th grade, all the schools come together. So you may have been a Big Fish and Tiger Pride, or back when I played NA Cowboys, or your middle school team, but you all come together in 9th grade, and I had no idea that this coach knew me. I just felt like I was another name on the roster. But one day we were demonstrating a drill, and Coach was demonstrating form running. And I said, you know what, I'm really gonna try to do this. You know, I can keep my arms bent 90 degrees, I can run on the balls of my feet and drive my knees. So I tried as hard as I could. And you know, there were 75, 80 other kids doing the same thing. But Coach Don Greenaway stopped the practice, and he yelled at the top of his lungs. He yelled, "Dave Gray, that's how you do the drill. Everyone, watch Dave Gray. Dave Gray, do the drill." So many of you know that when I coach and work with kids, it's my job to memorize every single child's name that I have the privilege and the honor of interacting with. I can have a camp at Blueberry Hill Park of 250 kids, 300 kids. I will remember every child's name because I see them. To make someone's eyes shine, you need to see them for who they are at that very moment. Not for what they could be in 10, 20 years after they graduate or get a degree or they mature or grow out of that phase. You need to see them and meet them where they are at that moment. Another teacher that made my eyes shine, someone mentioned it before, I think it might have been Frank, Miss Sinnott, who married Coach V and became Mrs. V. Mrs. Sinnott, or Miss Sinnott back then, pulled me, like grabbed me by the elbow after class, pulled me into her classroom, and said, "David, you are not the same person that you were when you started this class. You are hanging out with the wrong group of kids." She called me out for who I was hanging around with, because she knew that I was this person with these shiny eyes. But as I was hanging out with the wrong crew, I lost that shine, and she recognized it. That is someone that cares. That is someone that had a part in changing my life. Two more I want to tell you about if you have the time. Mr. Giannotti. Mr. Giannotti was a very soft-spoken person. He taught He was a throwback from the 60s. He wore a green plaid suit, I think, every day. And he had these glasses and a tie clip. And that was Mr. Giannotti. And we had a nickname for him. He let us know that he was a black belt in martial arts, so we called him Karate Giannotti. So my nicknames, you know, I do nicknames, started way back then. So Mr. Giannotti sat me down at the end of a class, and he knew that I loved football. And he said, you know, David, I was a kicker for the Green Bay Packers. And I couldn't believe it. I respected this guy so much, I hung on every soft word that he said. And we're just sitting there talking like old football buddies. And he's telling me about his years and experience playing football for the Green Bay Packers. But it didn't stop there. He concluded his conversation with me by saying, David, I want to tell you something. When you speak, you have what I call charisma. And just hearing him say that, it's hard to describe the feelings that I had other than to say that I was overflowing with joy. I felt like I mattered. And nothing in the world was more important to me than what he just told me. And finally, someone else that made my eyes shine and showed me the NA spirit was Mrs. Pugh. I don't know if anyone remembers Mrs. Pugh. She was a world cultures teacher. And I was a junior in high school, and I was experiencing some tough times. I was broken. I was trying to find my identity. And Mrs. Peel saw that. She recognized me. She saw me for who I was at that moment. And she asked me, she invited me to have breakfast with her. The next day, after one of the days I was just letting all my emotions out, she invited me to have breakfast with her at the cafeteria in North Allegheny. And, you know, sometimes you gotta think twice, you know, do I want to be seen having, you know, socializing with a teacher and having breakfast? Oh, you know, what are people gonna think? That wasn't a question. I said I would love to. And here's the great part about our meeting. She didn't judge. She didn't critique. She didn't tell me what I did wrong, like Miss Sinnott. But she listened. She listened to me. And at that moment, that's all I needed, was someone to listen to me. And so Mrs. Peel made my eyes shine. So every single day that I am with your kids, my job, my goal is to carry on that NA spirit of making others' eyes shine. Now there's one more person that I want to talk about who turned out to be the greatest coach and mentor in my life. And he is a fellow NA graduate, 1987, a basketball standout, a personality bigger than the senior high school, and that's Christopher Henry Gretsch. And I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be talking to you this evening if it wasn't for my best friend, Chris Gretsch, who showed me that when others are down on you and don't believe in you, don't get down on yourself. Don't lose faith in yourself. And so to me, that's the spirit of NA. And I can only hope and pray that our kids have someone in their life, like a Chris Gretsch, to set them on their way. And when I say I was lost and searching for my identity, I really mean that. What you see today, it is a work. It's taken many years and it's still a work in process. But that's okay, because that's what we're all trying to do, be the best version of ourselves. So I have a few thank yous. I want to thank Alice. Where are you, Alice? Oh, thank you so much for everything you do, your dedication to this community that ultimately benefits our students. Thank you to the entire NA Foundation. I have some special friends here. My high school best friends, Donnie Kloss and Jeff Norris. I have one of my best friends in life, Jeff Stackerwald here. Donnie drove in from Waynesboro, okay, to make the trip, and I appreciate it. I want to thank someone that I don't give enough thanks to, and I never will be able to, and that's my wife, Melissa, who without you, I wouldn't have CDG Sports. It's really as simple as that. I thank you. I love you. Thank you for putting up with a 52-year-old kid day in and day out. You're the only one that can do it. And before I leave you, something very special happened this evening that I didn't know about. Some of you know a little bit of my childhood story of being in the foster system and living with different family members and really not having a solid foundation that young kids should have. And then came along my Aunt Virginia, my Aunt Jenny, and my Uncle Jim, who recognized that I was hurting and I needed stability in my life. And they made the selfless decision to become my legal guardians. And that is how I came to North Allegheny, growing up on Balmoral Drive, attending People's Elementary. And so they surprised me and showed up here tonight from North Carolina. That's my Uncle Jim right there. And Jimmy, can you stand up? I can live another 100 years and I'd never be able to thank you enough. I'm blessed, and by the grace of God, you're in my life, and I thank you. And I want to leave you with one thing to go out on, and it's something that Chris always reminded me of. He had a favorite quote from his grandfather, Pat Diamond, and he said, "Get on your horse and ride." Just get on your horse and ride. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm never looking back. This is just the start. I want you to ride, and I want you to make other people's eyes shine, because that, my friends, is the spirit of NA. Thank you all very, very much. I love you. Thank you.